She already has your heart. This Valentine's Day, give her one of ours.
Hi, friends. Thank you for joining us. This is Sunil Chandy. And yes, this is not a pre-recorded episode. This is a live one. Today, we're beginning back our ministry at Food for Thought. I have just coming back from recovering from a total new knee replacement. And so this is my first day back. And today we have a wonderful program for you. And I hope that you will enjoy this. I know you will, because we have wonderful guests who are going to come and give us wisdom and ways to cope with our challenges of the day. And so at this time, of course, this is Food for Thought. This is my name is Sunil Chandy. I'm the rector and priest at Christ Episcopal Church in Westerly, Rhode Island, and this is a ministry out of that wonderful institution of church in our community. And at this time, we ask if there are people who are here, if they'd like to simply say hello and touch base. This is an appropriate time, and it'd be nice to see who's watching. I know we're watching on various platforms, on the YouTube channel at Christ Church. We're also on Facebook and Instagram, and we've got a couple of different places that this is happening. And so just simply say hello. Tell us that you're here. Yes, Ben, thank you. Welcome. Yes, I feel great, and the knee is great. It is moving. It's that's the big thing about it. It's moving, and so am I. And I'm looking forward to continue to improve with this knee. Today, we have a real good program, and I do want to go into the bios of the people who are joining us. But I do. There's Michael Thompson Niemeyer. Michael, how are you? Thank you for watching us today, and thank you for all that you do. And I hope that you and your family are doing well, especially during this time. See, glad to, thanks about the knee. I think it's a good thing. We have some great orthopedic surgeons in this area, and mine is a knee that was done robotically replaced. So it was just really a wonderful thing. And so it is good, and I'm glad I'm back here. I was getting kind of bored doing nothing or healing, which is something, but I felt like I needed to do something. Well, today, right, I wanted to really, the passage that I was really thinking that we might talk about is a passage from 2 Samuel chapter 5, verses 12, probably through about 15. Now, King David was told, "The Lord has blessed the household of Obed-Edom and everything he has because of the ark of God." So David went down and brought up the ark of God from the house of Obed-Edom to the city of David with rejoicing. When those who were carrying the ark of the covenant had taken 6 steps, he sacrificed a bull and a fatted calf. David, wearing a linen ephod, danced before the Lord with all his might. And while he and the entire house of the Israel brought up the ark of covenant, ark of the Lord, with shouts and sounds of trumpets. It's a wonderful story. I mean, part of it is the reason why I bring it up is because the King David, as you probably know, in 2 Samuel, by that time he has reorganized all of Israel and Judah and made it into one kingdom of Israel. He has He was a master general and strategist, and he was also a person of deep faith. And when he brings this Ark of Covenant, which holds the Ten Commandments and other scrolls and Book of Wisdom, he brings it back into Jerusalem, where it becomes the capital of that wonderful nation. And he is overjoyed, and he is so filled with excitement and passion that he dances around that ark. And it's interesting because later on in the chapter, what happens is his wife, one of his wives, Mikhail, actually said, "Why did you do that? Why did you lose your dignity as you danced around that Ark of Covenant? You just embarrassed yourself." And David went on to respond something to the effect that, "I felt so overjoyed. I wanted to celebrate God and God's joy around that altar, or that Ark of Covenant." And I was thinking about that. Sometimes, I was thinking about that because we tend to think of prayer as something that's sedentary, and that we tend to think of it as just sitting down, kneeling, clasping our hands, and engaging in deep meditative thought or introspection. And sometimes I think David is an example. This is an example of prayer being something more physical, something that we could engage in and still find deep relaxation, a deep connection to something, a deeper experience of God. I was speaking to my spiritual director, and we were going over my prayer practices, and one of the things I do every day is morning prayer, and then I try to put in a second prayer session in the afternoon or evening, and during evening prayer. But I am so exhausted by that time that it doesn't always happen. And I was telling my spiritual director, I said, I don't get this. I want to do this. I want to engage in this work. And I know it's good for me because it really renews my perspective. And, but I just find it so hard. And so, well, she told me, well, Sunil, why don't we try something different? I mean, the prayer practices in the morning seem to be working for you great. Well, why don't you do something? What do you enjoy doing enjoy doing that you don't get enough of? And I said, I love to dance. I love to move. I'm a kinesthetic type of person. I love to engage my body a bit. And he goes, well then, Sunil, why don't you do this for 2 days out of the week in the evening? Why don't you, dance? Why don't you dance and just offer that up to God? And I started thinking, that sounds weird. And then I started to imagine, the whole idea about dancing and connecting with God. There's this tradition in the Episcopal Church. We have in our church sometimes in worship services we have liturgical dance. And I remember when I was a young priest, I said, I just can't get into this liturgical dance thing. These women wear leotards. It's kind of distracting for me. And I started to imagine that until I tried it. Not the leotard, of course, but I did try dancing and offering dancing as a prayer to connect with a deeper spirituality. So before my surgery, that is, I started around 4 o'clock, putting on my favorite Tony Braxton and songs, and just started to dance. And I said, and in the midst of it, I said, God, this is for you. I want to use my body. I want to feel energized. I want to feel hopeful and joyful. And I offer this to you. And you know what, friends? I felt great. And in fact, after that, I felt renewed. I just realized that there's so many different ways to pray, so many ways to connect to a deeper spirituality, so many ways we could connect with God so that we might be encouraged. I'm even rethinking this idea about a liturgical dance. And maybe because I'm in my 50s, it might be less distracting. But I think there are many ways to get access to God. Today, we have, as is our tradition, on Mondays, every other Monday, so we have our wonderful Sharon Younkin, who comes in and who will lead us in conversation about ways to cope with the challenges that we're facing. And today we have not only Sharon, but Sharon has a group of friends from Swarthmore College who are just wonderfully intelligent and powerful, and they're going to talk to you about talk to us about how they are coping with the challenges of the day. And I'd like to read their bios real quickly, and then I'll invite Sharon on board to speak a little, and then invite all three of these wonderful people. Margaret Huang is the founder of and CEO of Credence LLC. Credence is a startup that helps corporate leadership teams build up the confidence and skills for systematic change in equity, diversity, and inclusion. Before founding Credence, Margaret has worked as a senior executive in U.S. financial services and multiple international businesses in Asia for companies including GE Capital, Jardine Pacific, and GE International. She's also served as senior executive for 2 national nonprofits, Facing History and Playworks. She is a 4-year breast cancer survivor, an advocate for healthy and affordable neighborhoods, and currently lives in Oakland, California. And so we're looking forward to meeting Margaret. And then there is Sarah. Sarah Shirk is based in Chicago, Illinois, but she has a special friend from college who has introduced her to Christ Church back in 2017 on a summer vacation visit to Rhode Island's beautiful beaches. Sarah combined beach combing with Christ Church combing on that vacation and enjoyed a vibrant Sunday service that was in contrast to her usual unprogrammed Sunday mornings at our home church in Oakland Oak Park Friends Meeting. She has found spiritual strength during the pandemic, connecting with new friends via Food for Thought, and the virtual We Walking group and the participation in Christ Church activities reminds her that our spiritual journey can take many unexpected twists and turns. And of course, Sarah, I always love touching base with you, and I'm glad that we finally get to meet, at least online today. And then finally, there's Allison Hart Young, PhD. She was born and raised in southern central Connecticut. She moved to Michigan to go to graduate school at University of Michigan and never left. So technically, I am now, she says, a Michigander. I teach in the College of Education and Human Development at Western Michigan University in Kalamazoo. Yes, there really is a Kalamazoo, she says. I'm a member of the Kalamazoo First Congregational Church, UCC, and I sing in the chancel choir at pre-COVID and serve as a liturgist. My spirituality, she says, is very nature-based, and I enjoy the outdoors. I'm an avid hiker, and I like canoeing and camping, as well as gardening in the summer. My wife and I have a vegetable garden that we enjoy sharing with others in our community. They're wonderful people, and I'm looking forward to having a conversation with them, and I'm looking forward for us to hearing wisdom from them. But first, let's invite Sharon Younkin to help us.
Father Sunil, hello. Welcome back.
Oh, thank you, Sharon. Oh, it's good to see you.
It's great to see you too. And it's great to be back with all the viewers. So happy to be back. And I'm so pleased today I'm going to keep it brief because I want to bring our guests on. But I just wanted to explain for the viewers my thinking in inviting these guests, because I'm bringing together 2 of my communities that I love very much, the Christ Church community and my Swarthmore community. And I know from the beginning, starting last April, I've been on every other week to kind of talk about maybe what I'm observing in my work with folks, what I'm going through with the whole pandemic, and then to offer ways to cope, different ways of thinking that could potentially be helpful. So one of the things that these folks have been a big part of how I've been coping since the beginning of the pandemic, and they'll explain a lot more, so I won't get into that. But I will say briefly, they're all from Swarthmore College. It's how I got to know these folks, and they'll talk more about that. And for those of you who don't know, Swarthmore College is not an all-women's college. That's Skidmore. Swarthmore College is a small liberal arts college outside of Philadelphia, founded in 1864 by Lucretia Mott. I'm wearing my Lucretia Mott socks. She was an abolitionist and a women's rights activist. So that's been a big part of the mission of the school. And I knew right from the start when I visited campus and people said hello, and even though they didn't know me, that this was a place where people cared about people. So I hope you'll see that with these folks. And so we're going to talk. It's also, I think, the group that we formed reinforced the themes we've talked about: social support. We're doing radical collaborating right now, Father Sunil and I, in terms of bringing together our different communities. We're doing a design conversation today where you're going to hear more about how we formed this group so that you can perhaps do that at home as well. There's play involved, all sorts of themes that we've talked about. So that's what I wanted to say. And I just wanted to say I'm so grateful to have everyone together today. And it's a really joyful moment for me.
Excellent. Thanks, Sharon. And so should we bring them on now?
Yes, let's bring them on. Yes. We have Margaret, Allison, and Sarah.
Hey, guys.
Welcome. So I'm going to turn it over to, at this point, to Margaret to talk a little bit more about this walking group that was formed and how it all came about.
Thank you, Sharon. Thank you, Father Sunil.
Thank you, Margaret.
I'm Margaret Wong. I'm just talking to you from Oakland, California. So isn't that amazing? Totally different time zone. I just wanted to share with everyone that this walking group, I'll give you a little background about me and why this was so important to me. I'm a cancer survivor. More than 4 years ago, I was diagnosed with cancer, and I had 4 chemos, 3 surgeries, and it was quite a journey. And throughout all that, I had committed myself to walking 5 miles every day, regardless. And I managed to do it by asking people to stop by and walk with me instead of bringing me food, because food was a complicated thing. People would give me things that I didn't necessarily want to eat, and it was easier for people to just show up and walk with me. So I did that for a while, and I did really well. But then the pandemic came, and I suddenly wasn't able to walk with all these friends that I had developed a practice of walking with. So I tried everything. I tried all kinds of ways to make myself do the walking, but I discovered that I really needed other people desperately to get this done. And that was what had made me successful in the past. So I thought about trying to just ask people to walk with me virtually on Facebook. And, Facebook is one of these things where you don't know what you're going to get when you ask for something. And it's a little bit it can be a little bit fearful for people because you're asking for something and people may not respond. So it's one of those moments where I just sort of this is the moment where I kind of say, okay, I'm really desperate. This is impacting my health in a very serious way. I'm going to just put it out into the universe, sort of like a prayer, and let go and let God, just throw it out there and see what will happen. And then first Sharon wrote back and she said, I need to do this too. And then the second day, Allison said, I'm joining in. And then the next thing you know, we were off to a 6-week challenge where we walked every day for 6 weeks.
Wow.
And we did it. We were literally messaging each other so that we would all stay motivated, because I had read somewhere that your brain, once it's kind of developed a habit, will keep doing it. And then we finished and we had a little Zoom party. And I want to share with people, we didn't know each other in college. So our class was less than 300 people that year. And we didn't know each other. I had never spoken to either one of them during college. And I had only met Allison at our 30th anniversary because she sat next to me at a collection. And we struck up a conversation, and we were cracking each other up. And I'm like, she's cool. I'm going to stay in touch with her. And I think through the staying in touch with her, I started to become more connected to other alumni. And then, so we looked at each other at the Zoom meeting. We were actually introducing ourselves to each other. We were in some way strangers to each other, and got to know each other. And we said, "What?" So I think it was you, Allison, who said, "Well, are we going to do another challenge?" And so we did a 7-week challenge, and we finished that. And then at that point, other Swarthmore people started joining in, and I started a Facebook page. Gave us a silly name. We're the Swarthmore Walkaholic Enablers. This is my cat. She's not part of it. And we finished the 7-week. And at that point, people started making invitations to other people in the Swarthmore community. It is not just alumni. It is spouses. Sometimes it's children who join in. We have an employee from Swarthmore that somebody knows, or we even got other classes above and below us to join. And then somebody joined who was an alum that made us international. So she was out in Vienna. And so it became its own thing very organically. And we were having a wonderful time. And part of me says, this is a great example of how tools are a double-edged sword. Facebook has a lot of bad tendencies. And yet, I'm also a big believer that if you use it, you can make it work for you. And so out of this group, we used it to build social community, which is something that I think it was intended to do in the beginning. And I just wanted to share that I got a lot out of it, because not only did I become deep friends with people because we were seeing each other every day. It helped me health-wise in 2 respects. Obviously, the physical work was important. Motion is medicine. I believe this. I navigate lots of other cancer patients while they're going through treatments. And the one thing I make them all promise me is that no matter what, they're going to move every day. Because it's really dangerous to just sort of spiral down into not moving. And then the second piece is emotional. This is huge to regulating stress. If you're ruminating too much because you're sitting in your room and you just are spending too much time reading things that other people are talking about, or you're listening to the TV, this is a great way to break out of that space and get centered again. And I got so much perspective because I suddenly was connected to people in different geographies. So during the elections, I was hearing about what the atmosphere was like in every city that these folks were located in. So it gave me a lot of perspective, not just what I was reading in the news. And ultimately, I think what makes me very, very happy is that we've built a community, and the community helps each other. Like, we are pretty safe expressing all kinds of emotions with each other and asking for things from each other when we are in need. And we're not afraid to ask, which is a really nice thing.
Oh, beautiful story. Margaret, can I just say, I just love that one, the initial piece of just you're offering, I mean, on Facebook, you took a risk to ask for what you needed, and somehow the universe, as you said, answered. And I think that's such a brave and wonderful thing, a courageous thing.
Yes, and so I just wanted to show you some of the images. This is my first post, and I thought, maybe I can ask for a virtual walking community, and then we can combine this with images as we're walking. So I just thought it'd be fun to post a picture of the prices of gas in Oakland, and people started sending me pictures of their gas stations, and that was kind of cool. This is an image that was taken during the fires in California. I wasn't able to walk outside during that time. My sky turned dark orange, and this is the view from my window. And there is a little stained glass water art sculpture outside my window that is different colors of glass. So I thought this was a striking example of what I was able to share with the rest of my community, that during the Oakland fires, during the California fires. The wildfires were just terrible, terrible. I mean, there was a day when the sun never came out. Wow. And so I just walked inside. This is a photo. I wanted to share this. This is from our member who's right now in Austria. She was first in England, and then she's now walking in Austria. So we're able to see, everybody's town as we're walking, and it's just like it's a way to travel during the pandemic, which is really fantastic. And then let's see. And sometimes we issue challenges. I think the next photo, Ben, is a bird. Is it?
The cardinal?
Yeah. Oh, whoops. Oh, well.
There we go.
So I issue challenges maybe once a week, and any member of the group can issue a challenge. So to take a picture of something that we might be able to find as we're walking. So one of the other members had issued a bird challenge. So we were out looking for birds, and then I had issued a berry challenge, or somebody else might have issued it. And then we get competitive in the sense that we try to layer the challenges on top of each other. And then there are now all these elaborate joking systems of how to earn bonus points. So you can earn bonus points with humor. You can earn bonus points because you've layered a whole bunch of challenges into one. Or you could just you could get bonus points because whatever you took a picture of is just awe-inspiring, right? And this is on my walk in my neighborhood, the Cathedral of Light, which is a fairly new structure, but really quite awe-inspiring. So this is just to give people a sense of like why this is fun. This is fun because we can share our community with each other. And then the last thing I just want to show you is, George Floyd protests were very, very prominent during the summer. And in Oakland, there were murals everywhere. So I was posting a lot of photos of the street art in our street galleries. This is what town became. And this is angel wings with feathers of all the names of people who had died unjustly. But this also came about recently because somebody was making snow angels as part of a photo challenge. And I don't have snow in California, so this was me resurrecting my angel over here. And that's just to give people a sense of how fun the images can make. And you don't have to walk at the same time. At first people were like, do I have to walk at the same time as you? I was like, no, you don't. You just walk the same day as us. And then It becomes a wonderful thing. And I want to pass it on to Allison. Maybe she can give her perspective.
So, when Margaret posted her request, I looked at it and I thought, I need to do some movement. I'm really not getting enough movement right now. It was early in the pandemic. I was doing a lot of teaching. It was very stressful. And so I come from a town, Kalamazoo has a run camp every winter because our winters are so difficult to deal with. There's a race in May and everybody trains for that race at run camp. And the run camp is predicated on this idea of a social network. So you're put with other people and you develop the social relationships and hold each other accountable. It's really a great model. And there's, people are put into teams and every team has a team leader. And once we started this process with the we group, it became clear that Margaret was going to be our team leader. And because every couple of days she would roll out, hey, how about this? Let's look at this. Or her beautiful murals that were amazing to see. I live in a more rural context, and so I don't get to see some of the things that Margaret gets to see. And so I thought, I said, I'm in, let's go, let's try this. And it has been amazing. If you had told me a year ago that I would still be walking, I've walked every single day since May 6th or 7th of last year. And I only do about 2.5 miles or so. But it's the consistency for me that it's a practice, it's a discipline. And it has, I think, literally saved my sanity in this whole process. I live near a prairie, so I have 2 little prairies that are about a mile away. And so I have I sometimes go on my own. This is a day that I went on my own. I was trying to get extra points for Swarthmore swag. But I will also take my dogs. I had an elderly dog that I bought a stroller for, and we had her end of life process on the trail while we were walking every day that it was nice enough for her to be in the stroller. She went with me and for walks, and now my other dog goes for regular walks with me. I think one of the things that has been so remarkable for me about this is the process of learning to look up. I have lived in a world of, for most of my life where you put your head down and you go, go, go. And I think it was a couple weeks into some of the challenges. And one of the challenges was to just simply look up. And I realized that I don't do that very much. And it was Margaret had said, what do you see when you look up? And I was like, oh, I'm missing a lot here. And at some point in the process, this became a very spiritual practice of, like letting go of some things, of trying to observe things. One of the things that I've been fortunate to see, I walk the exact same route every day, which used to be like, oh, that's going to be so boring. And now I've stopped because I've seen how much change there is over the course of the year. And, the same field doesn't look the same. It has different growth to it, or more snow, or not, that kind of thing. Even days that are dreary and dismal, I come back feeling much more joy than I had when I walked out the door. And I think it's been a remarkable process to have, Margaret's leadership. And then Sharon is an incredible support. One of the things that we struggle with sometimes is that all or nothing thinking, that if I don't go out today, then it's all over and I've ruined everything. And Sharon so carefully and quietly says, that's maybe just go out for 5 minutes. You don't have to, or it's okay to have a day where you didn't go out. And so kind of more support basis. And then Sarah is joy for me. She has her playful energy and sense of humor really just ring a bell in my world that desperately needs to be rung. So I think that she was the person that started the Snow Angel Challenge, and I haven't made a snow angel in I can't even tell you how long. And when I came back from one of my walks one day, I was like, I'm going out for that snow angel because I'm going to be darned if I leave that one on the bench. So I think that as a spiritual practice of observing and the joy that comes from both the social connections as well as, coming back into the driveway from a 2-mile walk, and I feel so much better when I get done. So it's been a remarkable, remarkable process that I am so great. The level of gratitude that I have for this group is very, very high. Sarah, do you want to come on in and tell us about Oak Park? And
Sure. I'll take the baton. I was a little more hesitant to join. We had the Facebook connection already, so I was observing this group, with the Facebook thumbs up every now and then. And it was the beginning of the pandemic, and I was telling myself, I really don't want to be spending more time on social media. I want to be getting off the computer. But then one day there were just 3 words posted on Facebook from Allison. I had put a thumbs up on one of their postings, and she just wrote, "Are you in?" And that was the push I needed. How could you say no? I said, yes, I'm in. And I had already been walking, but thanks to this group, I'm walking longer and stronger. And I really didn't anticipate this photo is one of our challenges, which we started.
Sarah, is that incorporating yoga with the walk? Is that a yoga pose?
That is a half plank. And we try to spice it up with, in addition to walking, we were doing, working on the upper body a little bit, lifting weights. And I love to plank. So I throw planks into my walks whenever I can. And this was in Gaithersburg, Maryland. I was visiting some relatives who lived near a horse farm. So I have now photos of me planking wherever I go throughout town.
Wow.
Did one in the snow this week. So we just try to make it fun. And we're getting stronger physically, and our friendships are getting stronger. And I just highly recommend it to people who are on the fence like I was.
Yeah. Go ahead, Allison. Go
I
ahead.
think just a couple things to add to that. I think when we set the group up, we did a really good job of identifying sort of guidelines. And some of the guidelines include things like just being very positive. We're there to support each other and respond to each other. And, and when we have new people come in, they're welcomed, and we keep track of them and posting pictures mostly, but sometimes Sarah's got the videos going of how to do the snow plank, the side snow plank. And so I think, when you set up a group like this, you have to realize that, as Margaret has pointed out before, that groups can tend to kind of get a mind of their own, and you have to kind of massage things so that everybody knows what the group's for, what you're doing in the group, and then how we're going to work together.
Yeah, but in the midst of it, right, of course, there are going to be times where people come, Allison, you brought up the idea about when you can't do a walk one day, and yet the group helps you to kind of manage that sense of you can't do something to something more positive. Do what you can, and you find that social support, which is really beautiful. Yeah. One of the other things I just love is this idea that prayer for me always gets me more energized at the end of it. And what I sense from you all is that you get more energy after you do these walks and after you connect with one another. So you're able to find that energy. And I believe that feeds the soul. I mean, I believe in this concept of emotional health, physical health, mental health. But then I also believe in the spiritual health of a person. And that helps us deal with the challenges that we're facing before us. And then also helps us to turn around and help other people deal with their challenges. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Definitely. I mean, I think that's, for me, definitely, that's so true, because I think when Margaret first sent that post out, at that point in the pandemic, my partner was in Florida and I was alone in Rhode Island, and I was working on the computer and I was seeing clients. And so not only I felt totally called by her call, which you, Father Sunil, you and I talk a lot about. It's a strength to ask for help, and we try to reinforce that all the time here. But it was also, I realized in that sort of responding to her call, that for me, it was really, I ended up, we talked too about sort of when we do for others or think of others, we're doing for ourselves too. And it ended up really being something that was so helpful to me when I was alone physically for 2.5 months during the pandemic. And this group has become so important to me. So helping to sort of, and I think, like you probably see with everyone has their different role kind of in the group too, the different personality that they bring or the different aspect. And it just feels like you get a little bit of everything. There's just a real sense of well-rounded support and humor and, fellowship, and also during also some very serious times, and sensitivity to that as well. So it's really been beautiful. I think it's been really special. Yeah.
One of the things, Margaret, just a quick thing. I loved that picture from Oakland, California about the fire. Sometimes when we see things out in the news, we can't really relate to it. We can't really understand what does it mean for me. But knowing that, a person like you, a friend of mine, is out there, and you're taking that picture, all of a sudden that fire becomes real to me. across the country. And really appreciate that. Margaret, would you like to say something more?
I just wanted to say that for the people who are listening, we do have a fairly diverse little group that it's organic, and we have men in the group. I know today we have representation from the women, but we had one of our male classmates join, and that we were giving him a gentle ribbing when he joined. We're like, "You crossed the line," and he came and joined us, and it was really fun. And I think for him, he was recovering from a surgery, and really wanted support for his walking practice. So the walking is. I think we were discussing how the gyms all shut down. Most of us I belong to the YMCA, and we have a beautiful community there, but they're gone right now. And so I had to find a new group, and this was, and it can be hard because you're grieving the loss of a different community that you were able to see on a regular basis. And then, but then to not give up, to know that you can shape a new community even in the face of anything, actually. Yeah. And actually, in the face of this kind of really dramatic change that's going on, is probably the best time to try and form a new community because everybody's experiencing that.
Mm. That's a really good point.
That's a good point.
The other thing I think is so beautiful, and you know what, Margaret, I just took that as an invitation for me to think about being a part of that group, your walking group. But the other thing I was thinking about in terms of the world, and maybe Sharon, you can help with this. So much pressure in it. There's so much pressure, so much, and we're seeing so many things in the world that are so hard for us. And
true.
QAnon is one of those issues that, and there's a lot of fear that people have, and this type of group, it seems to take the pressure off as you connect with one another around something different. Not talking about hard issues necessarily, but help people to relate to each other and to kind of explore different people and different ways of living in the midst of different communities. It's beautiful.
Yeah, finding the common humanity. Sort of. I think that's been what a lot of this is about. And it's also there's a sense of security and stability because I think people just come across, at least in the walking group, as being, grounded. And that's something that's really hard to find right now. I mean, I think we're all trying to find a sense of stability and grounding. Yeah. And I think the mindfulness practice that we do helps with that. We're very mindful during our walks. We're very much in the present. Like Allison said, she's seeing things. I was doing the same route too. And the same thing for me, I would see new things that I hadn't seen before. And it became kind of transformative, that daily routine. It wasn't boring like I thought it might be in the beginning. But to be present and mindful and aware is, I think, so important right now for a lot of reasons. Yeah.
I love that point, Allison, you brought up about lifting your head up, or what did you say? You said simply look up.
Yeah.
I love that. That was beautiful. You know what? We're almost out of time, and again, I wanted to invite all of you individually to come back. I'd love to interview. You all have interesting lives, and I'd love to hear about them as well. And I know our congregation and the viewers would as well. But is there, in this last 1 minute, give us one piece of wisdom that you might each have that can help us deal with our present challenge? I mean, COVID-19, but COVID-19 is going to end one day, but there'll always be some other challenge. What wisdom can you impart with us? And I think you've given us a lot already, but if you could give us a sentence, that would be super. No pressure. Sarah.
Well, I'll just say that the opportunity to reach back as well as forward, I felt like we were reaching back to when we knew each other in our 20s. I knew you each in college a little bit, and now we're reaching forward, talking about joining each other for reunions down the road, and we just talked about maybe carpooling to the next reunion, so that even though our life right now is virtual, we have the opportunity to connect in the non-virtual world, hopefully in the near future. So I don't know if that's wise, but I think that's something that is wonderful for me.
Beautiful, hopeful, thinking about the future and knowing that challenges will end one day and they're temporary. Margaret, Allison?
I think my my piece of wisdom would be it's actually comes from Sarah. It's I don't take the time to play very often. Everything is super structured, and there has been from this group, and it's a variety of people, whether that's look for something cool to take a picture of, that's kind of playful, to actually physically playing in the backyard. I haven't, like I said, made a snow angel in decades. And I think that, you mentioned this in the intro, Father Sunil, that, that, David's wife is you just made a fool of yourself. Don't worry about that. That's, just go out, play, and let that play be your offering, your gift.
Beautiful.
I think I would say to people that there's a lot of social anxiety. Our structures that we used to have patterns around are gone, and forming new ones can be very anxiety inducing because you're not sure where everyone else is. And if I had one piece of wisdom to share to people is don't face into the fear and maybe pray for the courage to be vulnerable and let the universe answer you, and you'll be okay.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah. And I think I'm going to reinforce what everyone said, and particularly with what Margaret's saying, because I see so often in my line of work this fear of the social anxiety that folks often have. And to be, honest, I was nervous when Margaret posted her post. We really had never, I don't know if we had ever even spoken. Nope. We were Facebook friends because we knew of each other through Swarthmore. And I thought to myself, gosh, what if she thinks, oh, I don't know, I don't want her to be my walking buddy. I mean, you have those moments of doubt. But then I really went with my value, which was at that point too, that, I wanted to reach out. I wanted to have a circle of support. I wanted to make new friends. So if you go with what you value and let that lead you rather than what you fear, you're going to live a life driven by fear. You're always going to feel some discomfort when you try new things, but to try to keep in line with what it is that you value and push through it.
Beautiful. Folks, you are just wonderful, and I hope that you will continue to walk and connect and make the world a better place, because you are doing that. And
we have plans to walk at the 75th reunion.
Wow. Well, God bless you, and thank you for being with us.
Sunil. Thank you, Margaret, Allison, and Sarah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Folks, this is wonderful. They are, of course, we love Sharon. She brings great joy to us and wonderful insight, and she has a great group of friends, which we were just introduced to, and I'm grateful to God for each one of them. But now is our time to end our program, and what we usually do is we end with a prayer, and this is a prayer that was crafted by Bishop Thomas Brown of Maine, and it specifically deals with our particular challenge that we're facing now as a global community, and that's the coronavirus challenge. So let us pray. The Lord be with you. Let us pray. Jesus Christ, you traveled through towns and villages, curing every disease and illness. At your command, the sick were made well. Come to our aid now in the midst of the global spread of the coronavirus. Heal those who are sick with the virus. May they regain their strength and health through quality medical care. Heal us from our fear, which prevents nations from working together and neighbors from helping one another. Be present with those in authority who are making hard decisions. Support the medical professionals, emergency responders, and our caregivers. We ask this all in your name, Jesus. Amen. Join with me in the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not in temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Friends, go in peace. Dance, walk, move your body, pray. Spread the light of Christ, the light of hope and peace and joy to the world. The world needs it right now.
Make this Valentine's Day as special for them as they are to you.